the reduced management over the last 35 years, based on the Forest Service and BLM and others, and then also being compounded by global warming, drought, and widespread insects and disease damage, has led to overcrowded forest, increased stems per acre, further exacerbating the wildfire risk. Federal agencies have shifted to a natural fire strategies, allowing wildfires to burn unchecked, resulting in mega fires with no salvage logging, fuel load reductions, and reforestation efforts have been minimal, particularly on public lands, and leaving communities vulnerable. Despite these efforts, federal agencies remain constrained by litigation, such as the ongoing Bitterroot Front program right here in my backyard, which they're after the Forest Service with frivolous lawsuits, fighting critical management that's necessary, and which is happening to most national forests across the U.S. Residents in the RUI, which I live in, must take proactive steps to reduce wildfire risk, given that federal resources are underfunded, they're understaffed, they're focused on federal lands. Federal and state agencies often offer cost share programs for private landowners, such as the Montana Firewise program. These programs, implemented in collaboration with local conservation districts, provide funding and guidance on structure protection, thinning from below, reducing ladder fuels, creating adequate crown spacing. In my case, I collaborated with the Bitterroot Conservation District here in Hamilton, Montana, to accomplish that and implement that on my property here. I did the same thing up on the Flathead National Forest when we lived up there, using, in this case, it was a 50-50 cost share up there. Down here, it's a 75-25 cost share. We implemented that program this last winter, where we thinned hazardous trees, removed ladder fuels, utilizing the value of the timber, the saw logs, and post and pole material to offset cost. For example, on my property, we removed 180 saw logs sold to a local mill up in Saley Lake, which is now closed, and an additional post and pole sized trees, which I essentially gave away to local senior residents around us because the chip mills also closed as well. And that's what Forest Service has done across the nation. Most of our forest production capabilities are gone and need to be brought back. It was kind of humorous that the chief made a comment that, well, he was going to focus on for $5 million on trying to get our industry back engaged again. Well, that's like putting a Band-Aid on a gut shot wound. It don't work. That's the minimum amount of nothing. What the Forest Service or Department of Agriculture can do is enact the Defense Production Act to really put real money to get those communities and forest products industries back into existence, which can be done by the new administration. I was so happy to hear of the new administration coming in. Also, as part of my work with the development of new materials, I was a stockholder and member of a group that we had developed a competitive product to Phos-Chek, the fire retardant that's been used for 25 years as a sole source product for a wildland fire, and it doesn't work. I've used it as a firefighter. I've used it as a IC. It's expensive. It's toxic. Got heavy metals in it, et cetera, et cetera. We developed my company. We developed a new product which is now approved through the Forest Service channels by the laboratory in Missoula, and it's not toxic. It's environmentally benign compared to Phos-Chek. It's doesn't create nutrient loading and etc. And so I've been working on that. That company, we sold that over to in this case a mineral company that we bought the materials from. I've also been working with Jack Cohen, Rocky Mountain Research Station, and the Department of Energy Savannah River National Laboratory, and using the technology development under DOE NNSA, National Nuclear Security Administration, transfer program, I received that fire modeling package is what we use then to do the risk assessment on my properties. And that is another spinoff company we set up that is available to any landowner. There's others, several experts, including Jim Peterson, Bob Zybeck, and others, will address how wildfire behavior and management in the Forest Service and Bureau of Land Management has evolved since the early 1990s and before. One of the key turning points, which I was involved in, and that's why I left the Forest Service, was the Northwest Forest Plan, initiated by the past President Clinton administration, which reduced timber harvest to 75% on all forest lands, primarily because of spotted owls, which is a hoax. The intention was to allow 25% of those to remain as logging lands to provide funding to the Forest Service and to counties for schools and roads, etc. But the environmental groups, they just then focused on that 25%, and they filed thousands of lawsuits to stop that. And so the Forest Service is still stymied in being able to manage that. And it just paralyzed the forest and range management for over 20, 35 years, and is a complete failure based on the hoax of the spotted owl and other species. Simultaneously, climate change has taken place, and prolonged drought has exacerbated issues like insect infestations, disease outbreaks, excessive forest density stems per acre, and amplifying the risk. Policies such as allowing wildfires to naturally spread have resulted in unprecedented megafires followed by inadequate salvage logging, no fuel reduction other than what's burnt now, and reforestation has completely avoided. Except for if you look at the private land Forest Service boundaries, private lands are they're reforestating, they're planting and everything else. Forest Service is not doing anything. And so all the standing timber, as Bob has talked about, all the standing timber that's burnt and standing dead, it just keeps reburning over and over and over again. One of the critical issues, and I'm one of those people that is located within the wildland urban interface. There are things that they could protect themselves amid the underfunded federal firefighting resources that aren't going to be available. One of the projects that I've got, and I've got some graphics that shows this. Now, they won't show up on this recording, but I'll attach the written record, which will show the risk assessment. Matter of fact, what the model does is takes all the standing trees that's on your property and evaluates them for convective heat, radiant heat, ember entry, ember accumulation, and then actual structure destruction. And you come out with a risk assessment number. What I've done is I've logged the whole entire property. What's not going to show is the figure I've got here shows the key hazard trees around the main structure of the house, which will be in the written record. You can see what that is and what the risk is. Then there's several figures showing the evaluation of those, what trees was removed, and then which led, in this case, a rating of 0 for the house itself. And then we're going to rerun that again this spring. Oh, you're there? We lost you.
No.
We've got you. Nothing's changed on this end. Keep going.
Okay, keep going. Okay. What I've done to my property is I've got them into the firewise zone, 0 to 5 feet is in one zone, then on out to 25 feet in the second zone, and those are all going to be landscaped this spring with and hardened with rock right up against the house and around the house with decorative rock and etc. And then this spring we're going to go ahead and sod the remaining 30 to 40 feet away from the house and put our sprinkler system back in. And so that'll be a green space all around it with irrigated with sprinkler systems around the house and all the buildings that we have here on the property. And then the rest of the forest floor has been opened up. There's zero chance of ground fires to come through. If any fire did come off the national forest into here, it would stay on the ground. I've got maintenance that I'm going to be doing on that because it'll be native Idaho fescue grass underneath the pine and Douglas fir, which will be maintained by prescribed burning and also mowing. What isn't shown, but I've got the picture of the whole property. It's about 10 acres, but it shows all the trees we took off. And then I'm going to rerun the model for the whole property that show the hazard and risk of that total property. The property was winter logged in the winter of 23. The saw logs were hauled off that same winter, and in the early spring, posts and poles were removed while the land was still frozen, and the slash was moved to a nearby rock quarry where we disposed of it by burning. Because I didn't want to burn all my neighbors up with smoke. The minor piles of surface litter, limbs, and pine straw were tractor raked into small piles, and then we burned all those. Those are all gone now. So now we're ready to do all the landscaping, and we're in the process of doing that. So I think that concludes my statement. I'm James Marsh. I live in Victor, Montana. I hold a bachelor's and master's degrees in forestry and watershed management, forest hydrology. I spent the last 17, not the last, I spent 17 years with the U.S. Forest Service, predominantly in Region 5, where I served in roles as forester on 3 different districts, forest hydrologist on the Shasta Trinity National Forest, regional hydrologist for the Region 5, which covered 17 national forests in California, and then was selected out of the regional office then as district ranger on the Mad River District on the 6 rivers. I was also selected as the Aviation, Fire, and Land Minerals Staff Officer on the 6 Rivers National Forest. And then in my final role on the 6 Rivers was the acting Deputy Forest Supervisor. My career then took me back to Department of Defense, where I led environmental, natural resource, and training land management programs on Marine Corps installations, and then served as the Assistant Chief of Staff at the Marine Corps Combat Development Command in Quantico, Virginia. I then was asked to move up to Officer Secretary of Defense and was a program manager of environment, natural resource, and training area management on all 40 million acres that DoD held in trust. I also served as program manager for the Defense Environmental Restoration Program and collaborated with DOE on a combined effort to clean up and restore the defense installations and DOE nuclear weapons laboratories, production facilities, and testing facilities. And these combined programs operated on an annual budget of $20 billion per year. And that program is still in existence. The cost went way down, but we got a lot accomplished of cleaning up those sites. But it's still going.